All right, y'all. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about the different facilitator types. You might be hearing the call to serve in the psychedelic space. That doesn't mean you're meant to be a facilitator of the substance. So I'm going to break it down today. Psychedelic informed coaching versus trip sitting versus space holding versus journey facilitation and psychedelic Sherpa ing integration coaching, all of those different things. And if you heard the episode the other day with Ka and Pathogenics, we've teamed up with Ka. I've been seeking another psychoactive plant as a master teacher, or rather, it's been seeking me. So Ka is short for Kana. It really helps you calibrate your brain, allowing it to naturally regulate neurotransmitters and serotonin. Now, that's all the fancy words to say. I just want you to think that it promotes happiness. It really helps to be grounded, energy, focus, creativity. I feel more me. And because it's legal, you can use it anywhere in the United States. It also includes snow lotus, lavender, mint. I mean, it's magical. You do need to know if you're on SSRIs, though. Please read the directions. Check out the website. The link is in the show notes. They're giving you 10% off. Why? Because I asked them. I said, please let me support you. Stephanie, you're wonderful. So this is our official kickoff with Ka and Pathogenics. I'm taking it every day, which you can too, and I'd love to hear how it works for you. Let's roll the intro.
Whether you're a life coach, therapist, biohacker, invested in wellness, or in the healthcare profession, if you have an intention to work in psychedelic spaces, you're in the right place then. If you're called, get involved. But first, get informed. Let's talk the 4 N's: intake, intention, in-space integration. Leading to deeper transformations. Psychedelic Coach Podcast, Talk Cole. Walk you through the process, it's all possible. Leave space for the follow through. Most importantly, integration is not optional.
Welcome back to the Psychedelic Coach Podcast, y'all. Cole Whitty here. Today I'm going to talk about facilitation and the types of facilitators in the psychedelic space. Because here's the thing. I keep hearing people talk about overnight shamans, and I trust and believe I went on a whole rant today on Instagram. You might not be able to hear it, or maybe it's still up. I don't know. But on my page, I did a live, and I went off on this a little bit. I've really come to understand that I am here to empower the people that really care, who feel called to be facilitators or trip sitters or Sherpas, and that's what I'm going to dive into today, is the different types of facilitation. And they really care, and they're committed to being a student of this work. They know that they don't know everything, or they at least know that they want to know, and they want to make sure people are safe, so they want to find resources to make sure that they have some awareness, right? It is not uncommon for someone to go into a psychedelic experience, have an incredible, beautiful, enlightening time, and want all of their friends and family to be able to experience it. It makes perfect sense. If you suddenly felt free from traumas, dramas, pain, past experiences, of course you would want to share that with other people. Now, if you're hearing a call to become we'll say shaman that facilitates psychedelic experiences, the calling in itself might not mean like tomorrow, is all I'm saying. So though I don't worry about people that hold space for someone right away, there are things that you want to know. There are pitfalls. There are things that when you step into that facilitator role, you can have all the best intentions in the world. Learning through ignorance is a painful process to go through, because when you love like you do, when you care like you do, and you see how your ignorance contributed to someone's suffering, it's not nice. It's not nice, it's not pretty, it's not pleasant. So let's start first by really breaking down what the word facilitate means, like to facilitate. I'm going to jump on the American Heritage Dictionary here and read what it says. So it says to facilitate is to lead a discussion, for example, as by asking questions, mediating between opposing viewpoints, or ensuring all participants' views are heard. So it's also said to make easy, render less difficult, free wholly or partially from difficulty or impediment, lessen the labor of, as to facilitate learning by suitable appliances. So that's the American Heritage Dictionary. The context that we use when it comes to facilitation in the psychedelic space, there are so many places you can facilitate in, from, and around. So I'm going to break these down first as the psychedelic informed coach, trip sitter, space holder, journey facilitator, psychedelic Sherpa, and integration coach. Now, you can be more than one of those. You could be a few of those at one time. They're not inclusive or exclusive of another. You might be a journey facilitator, and you might also be an integration coach. You might be a shamanic Sherpa who's taking the substance with their participants, and you may also be a psychedelic informed coach out in the world. Each one of these we see as a different skill and a different tool. So you must get clear on what you can support and what you cannot. If you're not qualified, do not take on roles outside of your expertise or experience, or you probably will. And if you have already, at some point, if you keep doing that, you're going to learn the harder way. All of that to be said, that doesn't mean don't help people. There's also just a different frequency or a different awakening I've watched these last few years in particular, where the best person for the job was the person that was there in the community, because the people in their community felt safest with them, not a shaman, not a ayahuasquero, not a medicalized professional or medical professional. So take all that I say a bit with a grain of salt. So let's talk about these a little bit more. A psychedelic informed coach, that's what we train. We train psychedelic informed coaches. That means that we help a coach who is working with people, whether health coaching or in their family or even in their job or career, that the people they're interacting with may be working with psychedelics themselves. So it's being informed on some of the neurological, physiological, spiritual, emotional things that can come with that kind of work, so that you know how to help see if what they're doing is effective for them, how to really be a coach while having knowledge around the psychedelic space. So just like you hear trauma informed, you are psychedelic informed. Are you an expert of psychedelics? No. Just like when you are trauma informed, you are not trauma trained. You are not psychedelic trained. You are not shamanically trained. See where I'm going here? So psychedelic informed coach, then a trip sitter. A trip sitter is just to sit there. This is when a person feels pretty comfortable to go within themselves for their journey. They just want someone else there too. I got me, but you got my back. So for me, that's a trip sitter. That's someone that is really just there in case I need to go to the bathroom. I need tissues. I'm thirsty. Something along those lines. They're like a babysitter. They're just making sure that nothing happens to you physically within the space, but they're not interacting with your journey experience, which takes me to a space holder. A space holder is going to do more to maybe actively listen. Maybe they would do some music. Maybe they would have a little bit more involvement, but they're not really putting themselves in the experience. They're not doing energy work or spiritual work. It's more they're in the space holding it and really creating a container, which if you don't know, it's a hard thing to explain if you haven't experienced it or you don't do it. And really until you come to one of our live events, most people don't know that they didn't know what space holding actually meant until they felt it in their nervous system. Space holding is very much a nervous system regulation practice. So more on that later. So after a space holder, we're talking journey facilitator. So this person can play music. This person might do some energy work. They might do some entity work. They might talk to you, talk therapy, help you process. They are now facilitating your journey. They are more involved actively in the journey you're taking. Moving on from there, the psychedelic Sherpa. So for us, a Sherpa takes you on the journey. So this would be traditionally the curanderas or the ayahuasqueros in the jungle, because they are partaking and going on the journey with you. They're actually guiding you in. So after that, we would say an integration coach. So an integration coach is the one after your experience, specifically helping you to integrate what happened in that experience and what comes next. Someone could be a psychedelic informed coach and an integration coach. Someone could be a trip sitter and they could be an integration coach. So hopefully I've exhibited there as simply as possible some of the differences, because there's way more opportunities out there than just being a psychedelic psychotherapist or a shaman or a curandero or anything in between there. You have to look at first building it around who you are, what your concerns are in your own space. If you've got shared custody of your kids, if you live somewhere that is not decriminalized or legalized, then being a journey facilitator or even a space holder or a psychedelic Sherpa might be putting too much at risk. And if you don't feel safe, you are not going to create a container of safety for the people that want to come sit with you. So you may find that, hey, for now, until my kid turns 18 or until these other things fall into place, or I move, or there's more decriminalized movements, I want to be an integration coach, or I want to be a psychedelic informed coach. So I'm not going to be in or around the substances themselves, but hey, if you're going to Costa Rica and coming back, I'd love to support you. I'd love to help you get ready. Whatever. I'd love to reach out to a retreat center and ask them if I could be their integration coach. Some people are born coaches. Now, I would argue that everyone is a coach, but if you want to be effective, if you want to help people get results, and especially the results that they want, being a effective coach is quite different than just coaching someone, because I would argue we're all coaching people all the time. How to drive, how to cook, how to clean, how to raise their kids. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's very effective. That's really what I'm trying to say here. Is really what I'm saying here. When you look at your environment, when you look at what you're up against, when you look at what you're wanting to create in your life, in your environment, in your relationships, if you're feeling called to serve in the psychedelic space, you know that this work has changed your life and that you want to be a servant, a devote student, a whatever, helper in the space. What would that need to look like for you? What would make you feel safe, connected, and fulfilled to be of service in that way? Maybe that means that you would want to do integration circles once a month in your own community. Maybe that would mean you want to work with women who are leaving their jobs in corporate America and looking to start their new career. They found their paths through psychedelics, and now they're trying to figure out how to look at their past constructs and edicts of belief and who they want to be. How do I integrate who I was with my future self and who that is going to require me to be right now? What will I need to know, do, be, or understand? That's when we get into psychedelic informed coaching. So someone has worked through psychedelics and you have a unique gift to coach them in specific ways also. We're just doing it through a psychedelic informed lens. Truthfully, because it's the only time people really seek out integrated approaches to coaching outside of, say, the health or wellness medical space. What does that mean for you? What, in your 2 years from now, what does that vision look like? Are you sitting in ceremony? As someone that has worked in ceremony at times full-time, I can also tell you that knowing your human design is really important. I have 4 energy centers, and anyone that knows me could attest to this. I have pretty endless energy that I can hold space and stay in ceremony for 36 hours. If someone's not back yet, I'm not back yet. I'm not sleeping. I'm not going to bed till every participant is back from their journey. That's what I learned from my teachers. That's what I carry on. That's what I'm able to do. But that's not my job right now. I'm focused on teaching more psychedelic informed coaches to be a leader in their community, to be the resource, to be the support, to be what doesn't currently exist there as far as safety and accessibility and knowledge and support. You may not have the energetic resource as much as you want to hold space. If you're going and being of service or being a space holder on the weekends and you're going back to work depleted, exhausted, and drained, then it's probably not viable. That could be a full-time job. And you could kill yourself, like literally die for what you believe in. And there is nothing woke about that. There is nothing enlightened about suffering or driving your body into the ground because you need to be there, because there's some part of you that loves it so much. And I feel that, and I hear that from a lot of facilitators, but I see a lot of liver issues, adrenal issues, kidney issues, because their body is not able to filter the amount of energy that's passing through them. If you're not looking at a practice like Qigong or some other types of energy work and really learning your energetic body, and you're putting yourself in containers like that all the time, no wonder you feel like you got hit by a truck. So it's a beautiful thought to think that we could all just be in ceremony, but the truth is not every body is built for that. Not every body is for every substance or master teacher or environment. Not every body should be going down to the jungle. The jungle is for tribal culture. We're building cities of retreat centers in areas that don't even have a solid water filtration process, y'all. So when you really look at your future vision and what you want to create, take that condor's eye view, pause and pull back. Look at the full picture of your life, of your priorities, of what's important to you. Would being a journey facilitator full-time actually be functional? Would being an integration coach actually be functional, or are you doing it out of some guilt because you should? If that's not your space, team up with someone that loves to coach, because there are people out there that love it, live for it. They love to be in a circle. But I believe it's everyone's responsibility to care for their people. And if not you, then who? Who are you going to team up with? So are you a psychedelic informed coach? And maybe you start there until you can move to Peru or Costa Rica or wherever you have on your vision board. Are you a trip sitter? There's no one else around just to ensure people in your community are safe. You're not getting involved shamanically or physically. You're literally just there for them to go internal within themselves. And how do you communicate that? What's the ethics behind that? Space holding. Are you a space holder? Are you there on a little bit deeper of a level? Maybe you're coaching before and after, even if you're more just holding the space in between. And then if you're a facilitator of the journey experience, what does that look like? What would also be at risk? What are your boundaries? How do people reach out to you? As a psychedelic Sherpa, if you're going into experiences, which I gotta tell you, when it comes to Sherpa-ing, unless you really trained with that with a skilled, long time person, I think that for the majority of people, it is irresponsible. And this is my judgment and projection, so throw it away if you don't agree. I know even if you usually agree with me, there will be times you don't. Even almost never do I think that it's a great idea to be a psychedelic Sherpa if you are less than 10 years in the work. And a lot of people will say, but that's how I connect. And I'm like, because you're not practicing outside of the psychedelic space. So if your connection is contingent on you consuming the substance through your mouth, that in essence for me is the opportunity to start to practice that outside of it, getting into more shamanism as a practice versus just a substance that gets you connected. At some point, you really do have to put in the reps to be legit. And I'm not saying you're illegitimate. Again, this is my judgment. This is me not filtering. This is me just telling you how I feel because you didn't ask. I guess that's the beauty of a one-way conversation. And yet I still can imagine. But if you want to practice your new spiritual and energetic skill sets, the place to do that, from my opinion, is not in ceremony with one other person or in a group. That's when you attend another circle, express to another facilitator who is in charge of that container, and you ask them if they're cool for you to explore your gifts with consent with other people in the container, or you bring your client to that group with that intention for you to explore your spiritual gifts in someone else's container with consent, so that everyone else isn't your responsibility. Because I have had plenty of calls from facilitators who stepped into the Sherpa space with their client, and then either their client's calling me because the facilitator is now in some existential crisis, or the facilitator is calling me because they're bugging out. They don't feel equipped. Now they feel lost, whatever it is. They're panicking. You have to learn how to regulate your nervous system, y'all. Like for reals. When we talk about body mapping and chakra mapping and riding a nervous system, people can get hurt at these things. And I don't mean like psychedelically. They can trip, they can fall, they can need stitches, they could need someone to take them to the doctor. These things happen. All right. It might not happen all the time, but it does happen. And if you're in the space and you panic, no one feels safe. Two, if you haven't learned how to regulate your own nervous system, there's still a lot of work to do. And again, I don't think that the space to do that is between you and a client. That is your work in your containers where you go to do that work. So if you want to do that work, please do. I recommend find a facilitator, communicate to them that your gifts are opening. Maybe you bring your client to that circle so that you can navigate that and learn those skills together, not for you to just be practicing willy-nilly on a friend. Hey, let me just try this, bing, bing, bong, bong, and start like putting energetic needles into folks when you don't know anything about acupuncture. Know what I'm saying? Well, maybe wasn't the best example, but I think you get what I mean. Breaking it down. I love that you want to be a journey facilitator, a Sherpa, a space holder, a trip sitter. I'm all for it. What I really ask is that if you truly care for people the way that you say that you do, that you get more training. There is so much that you don't know. And I will tell you, as someone that's been there, it sucks when you either step over a boundary because someone was desperate or someone really wanted your help, or you got in over your head. And it happens. But you can come learn a lot of that. Aside even from our like year training program, I'm even just talking about our 3-day training program. There's one coming up June 13th, 14th, 15th in Austin. We're going to tell you about riding a nervous system. You're going to feel holding space. You're going to learn about space. You're going to observe what it is when someone's logic goes down into their body level, when they completely contract away from any mental logic, and how you can see it and spot it and what to do about it. Those things are not only going to change your coaching practice, it's going to change your life with your family, your kids. The thing we hear the most is how people's relationships with their families change by learning these concepts. If you can't hold space for your mother, if you can't hold space for your kids, if you can't hold space for the people around you, who cares how many strangers you can do it for? I care. We care. And we appreciate you. And you're wonderful. But most people struggle the most with family. And so whether it's family or money or whatever things contract you away, come get some learning. Come really see what place feels good to you, whether it's a psychedelic informed coach, a trip sitter, space holder, facilitator, Sherpa, integration coach. There's options, y'all. And you get to build it around you. But my invitation is to always build your life with you in mind. Because if it doesn't work for you in time, it's not going to work for anyone else. So y'all, that is my show for today. I hope that you have an incredible day. I know that it's been a beautiful one for me, and I'm excited to see where else everything goes. We've also got an event coming out in Utah, August 1st. More on that coming soon. Block your calendar August 1st, just so you don't forget. I'll be talking more about it soon. A 1-day event. Whoop, whoop. Anyway, I'm going to go make my dogs some dinner before they form a coup and throw me out of here. And until next time, fam.
Integration is not optional.